Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I posted anything. I've been busy with work, family, lots of other crap. Got into some 3D printing, so a lot more computer projects that I haven't had a chance to do any videos on. I don't know if I'm going to do any videos, but today we're going to do a video on how to replace the Pancake bearing on the Airlift suspension. These guys are extremely sensitive to like the smallest bump or things like that, and then you're pretty much screwed because they start knocking like crazy. So the way these work is there are these like spherical bearings that are super tight, and they're supposed to like allow for a little bit of motion on the plate, on the strut tower plate, so you can do like caster camber and whatnot. But unfortunately, once they start wearing out just a little bit, they're super sensitive to like tolerances, and once they get any sort of play in there, there's motion like this, vertical motion when you go over bumps, and that translates to some really gnarly noise. And my left one started doing the noise, and it's bugging the Jesus out of me. So we're going to be replacing it. Some other things that have happened. Car's been in the shop. I've had a little bit of a tick on the engine. Found out I had a bad lifter follower, and that kind of scraped my cam a little bit, so I ended up having to replace all of that. So now I got brand new hardware on the heads when it comes to like VCT, phasers, lifter, followers, the whole shebang on both of the heads. I even got a new cam for now on one of the sides, since I still have some heads in the shop that they'll eventually get machined and whatnot. But until then, yeah, these things cost about $40 to $60 wherever you go online. Well, I think it's more like 60, but yeah, we're gonna go through the steps on how to get this swapped. Honestly, I know I have the quick jack in the garage, but we're going to show you how easy it is to replace these sub 30 minutes with just a floor jack and a couple of tools. So let's begin. Alright, so we got the car jacked up just a little bit. You're going to need just a couple of tools. So the way it is, the Pancake bearing is right over here inside of the strut tower plate. So to be able to drop the tower, you also need to disconnect the sway link, because if you have the sway link still connected, it doesn't allow for the wheel to drop enough for the plate to drop. So it's a lot more work that way. This way, the way I do it, I can do it in like 30 minutes or less for the whole thing. So as I said, car is jacked up on the car jack. We're going to first unbolt these tower bolts. Then we're gonna disconnect the sway link. We're gonna depressurize the strut tower on the left side, allow for the pillow, the airbag, to kind of decompress. Then you'll be able to just easily pull the whole caster camber plate off of it, and then from there 2 minutes to hammer the bearing out, 2 more minutes to put it back in, and then reverse. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to be taking off this. So that's a 15 mil socket. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, 13 mil. I apologize. And if you do this with power tools, it's going to take even less. So if you're using power tools, it takes less, as I said. So that was so much easier. Now, let's see if I can show you. The strut is held by this nut over here, a double nut. We're gonna have to unbolt this to allow for the suspension to, or the strut tower to travel. So let's go ahead and do that next. This looks like it's I think a 15 or 17. So let's try that. I lied, it's a 19. So I'm gonna take that off first. one down. Second nut is 17, so we're gonna take that off. That was out. Cool. Now we got the whole upper suspension taken apart. We need to go down and in the wheel well and take out the sway link. That is connected with, I think, a 19 mil bolt. You will need to use a little hex wrench inside of the sway link because that's what holds the stud from moving. Otherwise, because the stud is part of the sway link bearing, you're looking at like you're sitting there wrenching and nothing because it's not untightening. So let's get out the tools for that and go ahead and do that. For this step, you need a 6mm hex and a 19mm socket. Put the hex in, put the cross through socket, and just unbolt everything. Now that's out, we can jack up and down the car to be able to remove the sway link from the suspension. Or it just came out like that. Let's see if I can show you. The sway link is out. I don't know if you can see. And now this suspension is free to move up and down. We're gonna remove the air pressure out of the bag, and we'll be able to drop the whole camber plate. Power up your car that hasn't been driven in a while because it's been shitty weather and whatnot. And sure enough, it's probably complaining about low battery. Yeah, right. We're gonna have to plug it in, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, I'm gonna pause this for a few minutes and we're gonna allow the battery to charge. And I'll be right back. Alright, while the car is charging just a little bit, I want to show you a sneak peek of some of the projects. One of the projects that I have that I'm pretty excited about. There's a guy on Facebook started selling this pretty interesting idea, and I figured I'll give it a try. Worst case, if I don't like it, I can pull it off the car. He calls his product Roma louvers. I've always been on the fence about louvers on the Mustang, but these are just pretty freaking cool. So you can see they're see-through, so you can get like a little plexiglass windows, so you can still have somewhat functional back windows. But the really cool thing about them is, let me show you on the back side. Woo! On the back side is, you see this wiring harness, and then there's these wires on every single section of the windows. They act as brakes. No, maybe as brakes, but at the minimum as switchback blinkers. So when I saw that, I was like, I'm sold. I want to give this a try. If I don't like it, as I said, I can take it off. But you fish some wires through the sealant of the back window or the side window, and there's a little connector in here. And yeah, when you cars, you want to blink left and switch left and right your blinkers or whatever. These lights, these windows will act as like sequential blinkers. So I had to just give this a freaking try because it sounds too cool. I also have a bunch of other things I'm gathering parts for. I swear I cleaned up the garage like not long ago, but now I got boxes over boxes. Forgot to mention I got an oil pan replaced too, because my engine, as you guys probably saw in the E-Pass conversion, it was leaking like a pig. Turns out the gasket on the oil pan was leaking pretty badly, and so I got a nice racing baffled oil pan. My oil capacity now is like 9 quarts. There goes the the oil changes, but no speck of oil now on the car. And then I got a new sub for the trunk. The trunk will get a complete overhaul. I have that endo tank that I might have talked in previous videos. So lots of things coming down the pipeline. I just need the motivation to start working on these because with the whole quarantine I haven't been really motivated to do anything. So we're gonna slowly get back into the rhythm. I've also added some more garage lights, so we have some better lighting in the garage. So the car charged up a little bit on the battery tender, and I was able to take all the air out of the left tower. So now we should be able to jack up the car on the left side, and then that tower should be able to start having some free motion, and we'll be able to just press the pillow just enough to be able to slide up the strut tower plate off the tower, and then we can take a look at the bearing. So let's do that. Just like that, this thing is out. You notice there's 4 hex bolts holding it, and then the pancake bearing is right there. So we're going to take the bolts out and hammer the bearing out. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So this is I think a 3 mil. Yep, it's a 3 mil hex. It helps if you have some nice quality hex tools, but it comes out super easy. The plate only goes in one way. It's got a little cut on the bottom, so it's easy to put it back together. And the bearing is just pressed in. And I found that the easiest way to get it out, 2x4s on each side. Get a hammer with a little socket that kind of fits on the edge of the bearing. Hammer the shit out of it, and then reverse. On the reverse side, get a bigger socket that goes around the outer edge of the bearing so you don't damage the bearing piece itself. Hammer it back in, and then put everything back together. So let's go ahead and get all of this out. So we got the persuasion tool, got the 2x4s. And if you're working late at night like I am, just hope your neighbors don't hear you, but so I had to pause for a second. I didn't want to wake up the neighbors, but I hammered a little bit here and there. I was able to get the pancake bearing out, got it all the way back in. So now we reverse the procedure to put the plate back on, tighten it, and then put the strut tower back together. So this goes back in here. Now, once you put the plate back on the strut, you're going to slowly lower the car and start guiding the wheel with your knee and your hand in here to kind of get it back into the 4 holes. Yeah, don't get your hand pinched in here because then you're fucked. That was easy. Now we bolt the 4 bolts back in here. We got the top bolt, and then we're gonna put the sway bar back together. Somewhere in the Ford manual, there's a torque specification for this strut tower bolts, for these bolts. I don't know it. I just go tight enough where it feels like the suspension won't wiggle around, and it's good to go. So you do what works for you. Once again, jack up the car. As you can see now, it's super low. Put some motion or some muscles into your into use. You don't jack up the car too much because the angle of the sway link then it's way too high or way too low. So you want to be cautious of that. As I said, if it's too high, it's not going to go through. Okay, Google, turn on garage lights. Sure enough, that means it's midnight in here. In case you're were wondering, my neighbors love me a lot. as I do lots of work on the car at night. Got the sway link back in. We're gonna put the nut through. Here's a technique that I learned. Once you get the nut threaded just a little bit, jack up the car till, as I mentioned earlier, if the angle of the sway link is off, up or down. Now you jack it up to put a little tension on the nut. That'll allow you to tighten it all really quickly without having to deal with the hex tool in it. So we're gonna put a little tension on it. That's super tight. Pop some air pressure in your suspension and you're done. So that took, all in all, ballpark of 30 minutes. Super easy. Just as I said, a few tools, and you can do this in your garage without any like super specialized tools. Let's put some pressure back into the car, into the suspension. It's easy also if you have enough air in your tank, but I got enough pressure for the wheel to kind of sit on its own. As you can see, the car sits fine. I'm going to take it tomorrow for a test drive and see if it still knocks, but I'm 99.99% sure that that should be it. But yep, 30 minutes. And you can swap it on your own. I always have spares of these. I have at least 2 to 3 in my garage, because those you'll learn if you have an air suspension car, that's like, it's like consumable for the car. So it's like when you change your brakes, you change your pancake bearings. So that's it, folks. Subscribe, tune in for the next video. I'll try to, I know there's been requests from some of the folks to do a video on the steering wheel. I haven't forgotten about you. I do have a special mod that's getting wrapped in Alcantara right now, and once I get that, I'm gonna do a video on the steering wheel, and we'll go from there. See you guys on the next one. Bye. Oh, and total product plug here. If you haven't used these tub of towels, I highly recommend it. I use one, and look at that. Super dirty comes out. My hands are like I've never even worked on a car. Super clean. My hands don't feel like crusty or itchy or whatever from using all the other chemicals. I've been using these for a long time, and they're super freaking awesome. Tub of towels sponsor me, but please sponsor me. But yeah, highly recommend them. They're fantastic.